Kir and Riek always meet. If Riek actually hate Kir to that point, why is he not killing him in the meeting?
Why don't they slap their faces?
Yeah, and the same thing to Salva Kiir. If actually hates Riek, why are they not killing him in that meeting? Why do they have to go and recruit these other people, children outside there to go and fight for them? So this fight is not actually worth it if you actually look at it in a careful manner.
Yeah.
Welcome to Jimosi Podcast. So we'll be doing a weekly update of things that happened this week, and especially from South Sudan, which is in East Africa. So one of the stories that we're going to look at is that there was a tribal conflict that happened in the Upper Nile region in Nasir in particular, and this was a tribal group that were fighting with the government, and it led to loss of lives. And this is one community that's trying to fight the government, and it's Nuer community. For some reason, they were fighting with the national government, and there were a lot of losses that happened there. So I would start. Is it really worth it? No, it's not worth it to fight with the government, because what happened most of the time is that, because you have to understand what is government. Government is not an individual.
Yeah,
and government does.
People.
Yeah, it's a group of people. So in this case, it will be like, it's going to be like 64. 64, like in South Sudan, there's 64 tribes.
Yes.
So it's like 64 fighting against that the same one tribe, because in the national government,
not even one tribe, but just one militia from one section.
From that one section, because in that the same national government, there will be soldiers from the same community that are part of the government.
True.
And then there is you guys who are saying that you are fighting the government. But in this case, some of the time, these people tend to put it as the government belongs to a one tribe also. They tend to say this is a Dinka government. So when they are fighting, sometimes they term it as if they are fighting with the Dinka, and which is not the case. If they have the grievances, there's a way that they are supposed to address it, and fighting has never resolved anything. And most of these people that lead this kind of fighting, as much as they always say that they're fighting for the community, they're not actually fighting for anyone. They are fighting for themselves.
Yeah.
Because when the kingpin, who happened to be Riek Machar, when he was fighting the government, he was brought in 2013, all those fights.
Yeah.
He was brought in. Who did he put as the ministers? His own wife, a minister. Son-in-law, something.
Allegedly, wanasemanga Puat Kang is not his son-in-law.
Yeah, but these are a group of relatives. So what of the young people that died in the process?
Yeah.
So you see, as much as you will be charged to be told that, oh, this is our community, when it comes to the actual time of resources being distributed, it's not about our community. It comes down to the individual's needs.
Big connections. Yeah.
Yes.
And then you see other Tabandenga is kind of related to him. I think they are in-laws or something like that.
Yeah.
So it's kind of a family affair. And then all these people, you end up losing your life. It's your family that loses the most, because whoever you're trying to fight for is not going to be there for you in your time of need. And their own children will not go to the front line with you.
Yeah, their
So
kids.
You just have to think twice before you join any type of, let's say, a militia, or having too much allegiance, pledging too much allegiance to
an
someone,
individual, yeah.
or to an institution or a political party that in the long run might not serve your needs. It's not worth it.
Yeah, and there are a lot of repercussions or some of side effects that come with a community fighting the government. Is that, this is a government, they can use country resources to mobilize for the fight. and you guys will just depend on your donation or some kind of illegal sneaking in of arms here and there.
Yeah.
And then also, you will be left behind in terms of education, because the government will not put resources to go and build for you school and whatever. When you, the same people are fighting the government, they will not build any hospital. So like people will remain behind. Watabaki nyuma like kavenye. You see these regions are Kenya were fighting in Akwanga every time, like Samburu, Turkana, West Pokot. In terms of development, they are left behind because wakona hizi insecurities. The small insecurities that they have always affect the government deliveries of services.
Yeah, and also the government tries as much as they can, or like, I don't want to tear government, but their priority is like mainly to install security and stability in those regions.
Yeah.
Things like education, medical services and all that, they become secondary needs. But the priorities would be like, how do we stabilize the situation in this region? So it's you who is going to lose in the long run.
Yeah. And another thing with the fighting is that, you see, the problem with fighting is even after you are done with the people that you are fighting, you are going to create another conflict within you. Look at this problem of Sudan itself. When Southerners, which is now the South Sudan, were fighting with the Sudan, which is now Sudan, it was like these people are mistreating us. So we as Southerners, we were fighting them to get our freedom. After we were left alone as a country, what are we doing now? We came in and people have started saying this other side is mistreating this other side, and there's another fight.
Yeah, like
if this fight was
a communal fight.
Yeah, so if this fight was going to end, then even within Nuer themselves, there will be another fight that will be happening, section against the section. And then after that, it will go even to a family level. That's how conflict goes down that way. So if you invest so much in fighting, at the end of the day, your people just end up dying for no reason. And people can't just be dying since 1969 or when South Sudanese started fighting for all these
For
things.
independence, it's 1983, Anyanya won.
There was, before that, there was another peace deal that was signed in 1972 in Addis Ababa. So there was a fight in 1969.
Okay.
So a country cannot just be fighting for over 70 years.
Almost a century.
Like the people that were 1 year old in 1969, even their own grandkids are still fighting. When do you actually rest to enjoy life?
Sometimes I feel like kuna foreign interference when it comes to these conflicts. It's usually not just the people themselves. There's always that external force that's trying to tell you that you people are being mistreated. You are being mistreated.
The people that were 1 year old in 1969, even their own grandkids are still fighting. When do you actually rest to enjoy life?
Sometimes I feel like kuna foreign interference when it comes to these conflicts. It's usually not just the people themselves. There's always that external force that's trying to tell you that you people are being mistreated. You are being mistreated, you are being discriminated against, you're not getting opportunities, see how this tribe is kind of thriving and all the nonsense. And then because of a killing dog, you think whatever this person is telling you is the truth. Yeah. And then these Western countries, the Western world countries are very good at that. They will pick someone, you'll not even know that who amongst the group is kind of colluding with them. And then they'll try to pin that person against other people. Yeah. And they support you in terms of ammunitions, guns, all those weapons. But when you lose, they'll move on to the next person that they think is kind of a more viable position. And then their main aim in those instances is usually to
Minerals.
enter the country and then as if they are going to perform this peacekeeping mission. And in the long run, they end up tapping national resources.
Yeah, so
It's tricky.
yeah, sometimes we can try like to blame the foreign interference, right? It might be there, but at the same time, it has to come to individual level. If you are always happy about fighting, then they will recruit you, because there are so many communities in South Sudan that they can approach. And for the foreign interference to come in, there has to be a point that there's something in this region that these people actually want, that they want to destabilize, so that they can sneak in and do whatever that they want to do. But the only thing that in South Sudan that people talk a lot about it is oil. Oil is not something that you can see somebody is actually taking oil out, because it will need a lot of pipeline, it will need a lot of infrastructure to be built for it to be actually extracted.
But we have gold, copper, and other things, right?
Yeah, those small things, they can be easily taken, especially gold. Those one is easy, just go, then they dig out. But then the foreign interference, take for example US. Do you think US, if they have not actually measured the amount of gold that is available in a certain region, that they will go and destabilize and try to see if they will get anything? Yes, they might be there, but I don't think it's the main reason. To me, the main reason here is a lot of illiteracy. When you are told something, you don't think for yourself. And people have to understand that when you die, your own individual family are the one that feel the pain. And these people, let's say somebody that is having a 3-year-old kid, a 4-year-old kid, and you're going to fight the national government, or you are a government soldier going to fight Nuer, the tribal militias.
Going to fight a militia, let's put it that way.
A tribal militia.
These people might not be just Nuer themselves. There might be other people infiltrated.
Well, for the meantime, this is Nuer militia.
Okay.
This is a Nuer militia or tribal whatever from Nuer conflict, because some of them were saying Jikan. And if you see some of the videos that they're speaking in, they're all speaking in one language.
Yeah.
So if you have a 3-year-old that you're going to leave right now, do you think Riek Machar will come and give anything to your child? Do you think Taban will come, or any other Nuer that you know will come and help your family? Some fight are not worth it. If it is too much, give yourself something to do, man. I feel like there are over 7 billion people in this world, and South Sudan is only around 11 million. You can't just waste your time in a 11 million population. Go somewhere else and live a life, because hiyo siku yenye unakufa, out of 7 billion, nobody feel it. You're just an individual. So I feel like people should be making their personal choice, and yeah, it's crazy, man. Fight is not good. You have no reason for fighting. It's you and your family that will suffer at the end of the day.
So as I was saying, there's allegations on social media that this war began as a result of forces that are not unified being sent to Upper Nile to disarm or for disarmament exercise. But the Minister for Information, that is Michael McQuillan, refuted those claims, saying that this is a routine process that usually happens, and that the forces were going to replace those who were staying in Nasir, is it Nasir or Nasir, and Ulang counties of Upper Nile State. What's your take on that? And do you think if this was a disarmament process, is it the right time for it to be done?
I don't know if it was actually disarmament, because if it is disarmament, I would say no, there's no need. Because the thing with South Sudan is, you remove my arm today, you take my gun, tomorrow I'll go and buy it somewhere else. Because there's so much influx of guns from everywhere. There's conflict now in Sudan. So there are arms that are coming from there. Within South Sudan itself, there are some of soldiers that have given up, or there are some individuals that have access to the arms that have not been paid, but they want to make money. They will sell those guns.
Okay.
So disarming anybody will not do any justice. But like I mentioned, like I said earlier, that this conflict started all the way in October. And all the way in October. So these people were not going to this
which year?
of 2024.
Okay.
So, and this group that was said to be going to disarm them was going in February of 2025. They were not going to disarm anybody. It's just a group of people that seated somewhere, either in Juba or in this big town, Malakal or whatever. They just took photo and then they posted and claimed this is what they are going to do. There was no any confirmation of anything that support that. And because right now, there are a lot of people that are using social media that have not actually understand how to differentiate between a lie and a truth. People just see something and then they put it in. Because last night I saw a video that somebody shared and say people are fighting in South Sudan. That people were fighting in Juba, at night. And that video is from when there was fight at a Kolkor place.
Okay.
Was it in January or was it last year,
I think
December?
it was in November. Yeah, around November there.
Of last year.
Yeah, November 21st.
Yeah, and then people are sharing it and people pray for South Sudan, pray for people in Juba. So yeah, so the conflict started all the way in October. These judges were going in February. So now people that think they know something that was right started claiming this is for these reasons. And there were so many rumors. And when there's so much rumors and misinformation that there's nobody actually giving a clarification, it can be treated in a way. And this is how these people ended up mobilizing themselves. And when people talk of actually saying a unified forces, what do you understand by that word unify?
It's like, so back in 2013, 2016, when there was that fight between the IO and the IG and a lot of other factions, when they finally came together in 2018, they decided that they were going to form a one government with both parties, or with all the parties kind of accommodated. And that's how they came up with the 5 vice presidents and so many other positions that were created. So what they also wanted in terms of unified forces is to have forces from different parties, or from mainly the IO and the IG, that is SPLM IO in opposition, and the in government section to be all united. And then they have to be deployed together instead of having some sections of the country with only a specific unit of the armed forces.
Yeah, so what I'm trying to say here is, because even when you go to the same social media, these people are saying that the forces that were going were comprised of Chiluk and Dinka. This was a national government forces. National government forces are not comprised of only 2 communities. Yeah, they comprise of all the 64 tribes that were available there. But it was translated, or it was interpreted by people on ground that actually went into fighting, that these were just Dinka and Chiluk coming to fight Nuer. But that was not the case. The unified forces that people were referring to is the IO army combined with the SSPDF.
SSPDF.
Yeah,
or like the
forces mixed
from the
together.
government.
That's what they refer to when they're talking of unified forces. But when we talk of like it's a forces that have everybody, even the government forces are okay. And if the government is the one that is in charge of the country, because it had some of its soldiers there, what was the problem? Them replacing their own soldiers that were already existing. Because they were saying the SSPDF soldiers were already there, right?
Yeah.
So they were saying we are replacing our own soldiers. It's not like they were creating a different barrack that was going to have another government forces. So it's all how people interpret it in their personal interest. And now that people have died, who is it benefiting?
I don't think anyone is benefiting, because it seems there have been death on both sides. That is the militia or the white army, if we can put it that way, and the SSPDF side, because with the Major General, that is Major Dak, I think people said he died with around 27 soldiers who are together with him. Now you can combine that number with the UN people or the
and
UN,
people
the
that
crew
died the day earlier when the actual fight broke out.
Yeah.
So people have died.
Yeah, that can even go to maybe up to 100 or more.
Yeah. And people, I saw people celebrating. I'm like, what do you celebrate here? That somebody has died? It doesn't help, because we are all going to die, yes, but you should not take somebody's life
Before the
for
day.
for something that doesn't really make sense. It's not worth dying for a community or a country at this point, because there's no any aggressive attack against the national government, like from outside, like a different, let's say Kenya fighting South Sudan. That one, maybe they want to take the country, you can fight for it. But these small tribal wars and people fighting the government for position, no, none of it is not worth dying for. And it's up to individual level, right, to make a decision for themselves.
Do you know what makes me sad about all these issues?
Yeah.
It's the fact that these people, I'm not saying the white army are in support of Riek or anyone in those positions of power, but they obviously have someone strong somewhere. Might be a government official who probably wants to have a position, because the government has come to that level of compromise. You rebel, people will give you a position and then get some rewards here and there. The thing is, these people will always sit on the same table, talk, eat, celebrate, and laugh. But you on the ground, you're fighting for someone who does not care that much about your own interests.
Yeah, it's not that.
So people just have to like think for themselves and see, is this fight worth the fight?
Yeah, because like you said, it's not actually worth it, because Kir and Riek always meet. If Riek actually hate Kir to that point, why is he not killing him in the meeting?
Why don't they slap their faces?
Yeah, and the same thing to Salva Kiir. If actually hates Riek, why are they not killing him in that meeting? Why do they have to go and recruit these other people, children outside there, to go and fight for them? So this fight is not actually worth it if you actually look at it in a careful manner.
Yeah.
And you will see that this fight is not actually worth it.
Yeah.
Because if it was actually worth it, that so and so hates so and so to the point of death, they always meet and they can
fight in their offices.
Yeah. And I always say, to solve this problem of South Sudan, we bring Kir, Riek in one room, we tell them, finish one another. Whoever has win, we are now okay. Other people don't have to be dying every year.
Yeah.
But that's not how things work. Because these people actually know themselves, but the people fighting are strangers to each other. Yeah, so anyway, it's personal choice. If you want to die for no reason, it's up to you.
They actually go back to the 1980s during those Anyanya something.
Yeah.
So like these people have been to the bush together. They have rebelled against each other. They formed a unified government again. They hold their big positions. Their families are happy. They are happy. So like sometimes you just have to.
Yeah. What do you think? There was a question during press briefing. There was a question that was asked about the issue of maybe Riek Machar compound being surrounded by the army. And Makwendwe responded to it saying it is not true, and if anybody wanted to confirm that, they can go and confirm themselves for themselves. What do you take on that statement?
He did not say that.
Yeah.
Makwendwe said you go and see if his compound is truly surrounded by soldiers. And then the journalist said they wanted an official confirmation. And then Makwendit was like, what is more official than you going to confirm with your own eyes? So, like, I feel like Makwendit was unnecessarily rude, and he has always been like that. So people were saying it's very easy to not interview him. Like, but you don't have to ask him questions if you're not going to get the right answers that you are expecting to get from him, right?
Yeah, but at the same time, don't you think these journalists are just too lazy? Everybody's just too scared for themselves, but they want to do the work at the same time.
That's like you want someone to go up and react.
Yes, you didn't see how Muhammad Ali used to do his interviews? Yeah, Jichopevu. He used to go into those ones. So this one, like to these journalists for the next time, technology has come in and you have two options.
Okay.
Option one is Samsung Ultra, either S22 Ultra, S23 Ultra, S24 or S25. Grab one of those. Go to any nearest tallest building that is almost maybe like 30 meters away or like 100 meters away from real compound. Go to the rooftop and then zoom around the road, around the fence. You will be able to collect what you want without like putting yourself into a security risk.
Okay.
That's one. Number two, you can do the drone, yeah.
With
you
the
can
national security.
Yes, you can fly the drone if they
watailipua hata kabla ianze kuamka.
No, unaianzisha from far and then inakuja ikipita kaa imeenda. By the time they wanagundua hii nini, you have already collected what you want to do.
Okay.
So yeah, there are so many ways that these journalists can think just beyond them walking with their cameras to the compound to go collect that.
Well, but what is the issue with asking Makwendit to confirm if it's true or not? He can simply say, no, it's not true, or yes, it's true, but this is a security measure that the government is taking to avoid escalating the situation.
But again,
if the road is open, you can go. You can leave us now and go.
Yes, it's because that's something that government does. If he said no, and maybe there's people there, then he's lying. Okay. They will be saying he's lying. If he say yes, and those soldiers were just moving around, they were just doing their own patrol, like intentional patrol, then he will be lying again.
Okay.
And then also if he say yes, at the same time, if he say yes on a national whatever, was it a television or whatever that they were doing, this tribal militia or whatever, the white army, will think that the person is in a security risk situation. So they might advance more and create more fighting. But when there's no confirmation from the government, it will all remain as rumors.
Okay.
And that's how you de-escalate the situation. You don't have to confirm anything. Yes, it has an option of saying, I do not know. That's the easy answer instead of yes or no.
Or it's too early to make such conclusions.
I do not know is the right answer.
Okay.
And if anybody else want to go and confirm, they can go themselves. Yeah. And then also, like these people, yeah, they have their ways of not answering the proper way.
Yeah.
And it's always like, I don't know, they're fighting with the journalists. I don't know. They always see every question that is asked to them as they're being intimidated or it's from somebody else that is trying to put them in a certain situation.
Like they're being put on the spot.
Yeah. Or they have been sent by the enemy.
I came across the same kind of response because one of the journalists asked the spokesperson of the National Security Services, that is David John Kumuri, I think that's his name. He was asked why it took the National Security Services or the SSPDF in general more than 3 days to go and evacuate those who had been captured or trapped within Nasir. And his answer was kind of not a straightforward answer. It was kind of beating around the bush, and then the journalist said, no, you are answering this question in a diplomatic manner. The question is, why did you people delay until to a point that the general and his forces or the forces under him were killed? And then he told the journalist the right person to ask that question. I think he said, it's the person who shot the general, something like that. And I don't believe that's the right way to answer that. Just say you don't have the information as to why, or probably there was miscommunication there was poor coordination, but then they will not accept that the government is coordinating poorly.
Yeah. It will take time for them to learn how to answer, but in a professional setting, there's no always a direct answer to anything.
Yeah.
Even if it is something that yes or no, the answer is not always yes or no. They have like to put it in a way that they do some explanation. So it's up to you to interpret.
Yes.
But these journalists of nowadays, they just want yes. Why didn't the government do like for those 3 days? Yes, because we did not have cars, or this. That's not how they are answered. This one had some political issues with it.
Yeah.
So there's a way that they were handling it. And it turned out the way it turned because based on what was being said, Riek Machar promised that he was talking with the people on ground that nothing will happen, and then they will talk with the UN or the UNIMIS to come and do the thing. They offered to facilitate. So what else was the government to do? To go in and fight? That's not. So there's a lot of things that is above his pay grade, right? Just to answer a direct answer, yes or no, or this is the reason what we should have done.
Yeah,
and that's
according to. Okay.
Yeah, that's the same thing that I have also observed with our people, that they always expect a direct answer, and when there's no direct answer from the government, then they start talking. And that's why I think McQueen letter has actually resulted in this kind of answering. That it doesn't really give a shit about anything anymore. So it just answer the way that it wants, and it's up to you to go figure it out.
Yeah, because I came across the publication made by the UNMIS, and then they said they were kind of not happy with how, obviously not everyone is happy with what happened. Like everyone is not happy with the turn of events, because they said both the government, the IO, and also the White Army had agreed that they were going to allow for the evacuation of those soldiers who were trapped in Nasir. But then it didn't go as planned, and in the long run they ended up losing their own colleagues from UNIMIS to something that could have been avoided. So yeah, that to me is it doesn't sit well.
Yeah, the whole thing itself is all bad. Whoever that is celebrating the death of anyone should be examined. Because people have been dying, and every time you kill somebody, it's not like no another important person that will come up in that community or in that thing. It doesn't resolve the issue.
Yeah.
So, but whatever that they want to do is their life, right? So there's so many fight to fight here, so you just choose what to deal with. But this one is not worth it. The government should learn how to do their shit with whatever. And then, and then the National Security Services, NSS, arrested some individuals that were accused of fueling the conflict in Nasir, in Juba. And do you think, because some people were saying it's unlawful arrest, do you actually think it's unlawful?
Personally, I don't know what to believe at this point, because the NSS has its way of doing things. Because remember, with the situation with Garan John, when he got arrested, I was reading his post saying that
Let's stick with, because Grand John thing was not a national threat issue. That one was more personal things with whatever individual either in the government or in his company.
Okay.
And in South Sudan, that one is a little bit different from this one. This one was more political.
Okay.
I will just go and say it. There are national security almost in every country have a way of obtaining the right information that they are not supposed to disclose to the public.
Okay.
As much as people outside will say, oh, it was unlawful, them are the ones that know and should be produced in a court of law. And that's what that spokesperson said.
Okay.
Because they have these powers of, they can tap into your phone. And how do they choose an individual to tap their phone? These are people that might be...
You get an intel, like inside information from close associates.
Yes, people that are maybe related. It's not actually related, but if you come from the same community, let's say if it was a group of Dinka that were having this tribal militia formed somewhere, then they will select individual from Dinka to tap their phone that might be connected to this group. And then they will listen to their phone. And then they will hear what they're saying. But they don't tell you that they're tapping into your phone. And that might be the reason why some of them were... I'm not saying that they tap into their phone and they listen to whatever that they were saying, but they have their own way of collecting intelligence.
Okay, so some people were saying it's unlawful arrest because these people have been... Like, according to a publication that was posted some time back by the SPLM-IO, they say that some of the officials were arrested and they are being detained. And they don't even know where some individuals are. For example, the Minister of Petroleum, Port Kang, they say they didn't know where he was stationed. The family was looking for him and all that information. And then according to the way journalist was asking, it seems these people are still not yet released. And it's been more than 24 hours. Yet, according to the Constitution, it is stipulated that when you arrest someone, you are supposed to produce them in court within 24 hours. So based on his response that they had gathered sufficient evidence to arrest those individuals, then it means they should have produced them in court so that those who are convicted can be charged and those who are innocent can be released and go back to their whatever they are doing.
Yes, in an efficient country, that's how it is done. Paperwork is done digitally. But in South Sudan, where everything is manual, it's going to take some days. And there are some individuals that will make their personal decision without following the Constitution. That's one thing we should know.
Okay.
But if the spokesperson has said, they have enough evidence that shows these people were supporting this, then it was worth it. Maybe they had the reason to arrest them, right? And then arresting them, like, I don't know why people don't understand. In 2013, the national security actually thought that there was no need of targeting any individual or arresting anyone, even people that were connected with the thing. And what happened at the end of the day? They're the one that consolidated and caused the whole fight and left as a group. So for the security of a country, and especially the city, it was good to disarm some of them. Because you can't just have somebody that's having like a big gun in his house, and because you want to respect the peace deal, and you don't arrest them. And some of our people, they don't actually reason beyond their anger. They will end up taking the government ammunitions or arms and fight the people within the government. So the best way to do it is remove something that they can use to fight. And then everything else can be followed. Otherwise, if they were not arrested, there will be another fight right now in Juba. And then they will be removed, and then they will be released back, and then the life continue. It's not like anybody is killing anyone. But it's a way of like quelling the situation just to make sure that there's no big fight in the country. Because it was said that one of them was the deputy of the chief of staff of the army. Do you know how much powers that person has?
Yeah, they have access to weapons.
A lot of weapons. And that's what happened in 2013. Because people relaxed. They thought that these are nice people. But at the end of the day, people tend to go back to their communities. But for the sake of security in our country, to me, I would say it's the right thing, whatever. And it's the right thing because there's no fighting right now. If it is not the right thing, then, yeah, if they were, yeah.
You're becoming too emotional now.
Yes, it was the right thing. That's why nobody's fighting, right? So if it was not the right thing, people will be fighting. And then they will be released. Nobody's killing anyone. So,
Okay.
and then our third person today is about this conflict. Malungawan has been making some of his statement out there talking about peace and whatever. Do you actually think that this guy can actually bring any peace to South Sudan?
Kwanza who's Malungawan? King Paul.
Yes, it's just Malungawan, man.
Oh, okay. I think it was at some
Speaking in
time.
Nairobi. Yeah.
Yeah, and he held like a big position. I think some chief of defense or something like that.
Yeah, during his time.
Yeah.
When it grew horns. To me, like, I don't really think it will bring any peace because he had his chance. He was there as the chief of defense forces.
Chief of general staffs. Of
Yeah,
the
for the
South
army.
Sudan People's Liberation Army. That is the SPLA.
Yeah.
And then that was the highest ranking military he was the highest ranking military officer in the SPLA,
Yeah.
which was now changed to SSPDF.
Yeah. So he had his position. It's not like he united all the army together. It's not like he fixed what was needed to be fixed within the army. He didn't do that. And it's not like he have a good time with all the 64 tribes that have come in. Because he's had a good rapport with all these people, things will be okay. Almost everybody that has rebelled and is out there, they're just looking to get back into the government and get their position. And the best way to get insight is to say that you are the right person that can bring peace. You can't say that you'll come and bring trouble. You'll not be allowed. And people tend to like that people that are outside the system. Because you are criticizing people that are inside the system.
Yeah.
So people think that, no.
When you get into that same system, you unaharibu vitu. Sini kama nani?
Yeah, you get
Nani? The former press secretary wa J1.
Yeah.
Alikuwa na ramba
rasa.
Leaking the entire time akiwa press secretary. Sahi anything small ikifanyika, he's one of those putting out a very big article discussing the situation or trying to offer solutions that he never offered when he held a position. So I feel like it's the same thing that Paul Malong is doing. He's kind of presenting himself as an alternative solution.
Yeah.
Since Kirdit is looking for solutions.
Yeah, everybody and his group, people that are following him, they just want to get into that government, get their position, start eating, and we all forgot the other people. Because for anybody that will say this person has track record of work, it should be like when he went into the army, like when he was the head of the Jesh, he did a lot of things. He built them nice places. Their food was always on time. He organized for their salaries payment. At least we can say, like, when he was given that small position, he did a lot of things. If it's given a bigger position now, he can do more.
Better things.
Yeah. But if you did not do anything at the small position that you were given, nobody will do any shit here. People are just talking for the sake of talking.
Yeah. Like, I feel like most of these politicians, they just always turn into smear campaigns when they're outside the government. And then they start talking things that they would not say if they are within the government, because everyone is trying to conserve or to preserve their position. But once you're out there, then what's the worst thing that can happen? You've already been fired or you've been dehoned. So what else can be done to you? Nothing much, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, but then if at all these people could just put the country above their own interest, then we'll all live happily. Because you'll see all these small communal fights, they will stop. Because most of them are usually engineered by some of these leaders or people trying to pin others against each other.
Yeah.
Or them not responding quick enough
Yeah.
to de-escalate situations when there's conflict between communities or within the same community. So I feel like we are just being failed at all levels.
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's why like I was actually hoping we could just do this election and see if we can actually forgive wote and see who the new generation of leaders and how they would handle the situation. But I feel like that election might not happen in was it 2026 or 2027?
I really don't know. And these people keep accusing each other of that this group don't want people to go for elections, so that's why they keep doing this. But yeah, election should be the best one, and then they should give the country a chance for a peace, so that at least, you know, like if we have peace for the next 10 years,
we will have some development.
Yeah, some development, and then people will get educated.
Yes.
And once you are educated, it is very hard for you to be manipulated.
Well, what? I've seen educated people talking shit on the social media.
Well, like when it comes to personal decision, you know, like when there's something that they call fight, that you are fighting so and so, so you just talk a lot of nonsense.
Okay.
But when it comes to personal decision, all these people that are talking shit, they don't actually carry any gun to go and fight anyone. They just come and yap here on social media. So there will be a group of people that are just making noise on social media, and it's not actually resulting in any loss of life, which is okay, freedom of speech. But these illiterate people, they easily get manipulated in the name of community, in the name of clan, in the name of, and it takes a lot of time for them to actually reason that in this thing we are not getting anything out of it.
Yeah.
And that it is more important for them to be alive for their family and to keep
those
going.
Communities.
Yeah. Than
it's
dying.
tricky.
How many people have died? And those people that have died, either in the past or like 30, 40 years ago, 20 years ago, they were thinking that their death was what it is going to resolve things. Nothing has been resolved. We are still fighting again. So you're going to die again. And then 30 years later, if you were to resurrect, you still get your community, your tribe, your clan, your Dinka, your Nuer, your whatever tribe. They're still fighting for the same thing.
Things that you died for 20 years ago.
Yeah, it doesn't make sense. So people are like...
people should choose peace. Like give peace a chance and have some sort of self-development.
Yeah, die a natural death. Don't be dying every time at the gunpoint. It's not worth it, man. It's not worth your life.
Yeah. Because at the end of the day, like, you're not really benefiting and your relatives or community is not benefiting.
Yeah.
They'll just say, oh, so and so was a hero. He died for the country, for the community. 2-3 years down the line, you're already
everybody
forgotten.
move on, and they got somebody else that have more resources that they think was better than you.
What you did. Yeah. So people should just choose their struggles wisely. Yeah,
it's actually crazy, and all this fight is not worth it. Whoever, be it government, be it opposition, be it a militia, it's not helping any of you.
Yeah, I feel like they are all in this together because they are eating from this chaos, right?
Yeah.
Since they keep on kind of pushing that election, it might take time. Before the country goes for election, and they are very sure some of them will not make it back if we were to go for election. So they're trying as much as possible to delay the process and continue looting and eating. By the time they are gone, they'll just maliza national coffers.
Yeah. And none of them is better, either the government or whoever. Like I mentioned earlier, none of them is better.
Yeah.
We are all suffering in their hands.
Not even King Paul.
Not even King Paul himself. King Paul. Oh, man. Yeah.
Followers wa King Paul watatukujia.
Not only King Paul, even Thomas Trillo. That guy should be added to the list. All these people are just the same.
A bunch of rebels.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's not like, you know what's funny about this South Sudan opposition and stuff? They are not interested in improving the livelihood of the regular citizens.
Yeah.
Because that's what the opposition does, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like Raila Odinga in Kenya.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's mainly, Raila Odinga, I mean, he's mainly focused on keeping the government on toes.
Yeah.
That's what he has been doing for ages.
Mm-hmm.
So like, but when you come to these other oppositions, you find that they become very comfortable once they get offered the positions.
Yeah.
And then things go back to business as usual.
Yeah.
Alafu you wait for some time, and then when you think things are not going the way you wanted them to go, then they start having chaos and stuff, and then we go back again to the same circular motion.
If these people were actually there to fix anything, Nyandeng is a vice president. She should have fixed something in her cluster, the gender one.
Yeah.
Riek Machar has been brought back. It's now 7 years since when he came back. He has not fixed anything. Whoever that was removed the other time, Taban, Abelbagi, how do they call it?
Abdelbagi.
Abelbagi.
Naitwa Hussein Abdelbagi.
Yeah. All of them, they have not fixed anything.
Yeah.
It is like the only position that they can fix anything in is that of Salva Kiir. That if they sit on that seat, that's when they can fix anything. That's not how it works.
Yeah. You're supposed to be doing some developments in whatever capacity
you are in.
Have. Yes.
Yeah.
And then once you get the bigger seat, then you also go national and you do bigger things.
Yeah.
Alafu things progress that way.
Yeah.
But then if you are waiting until you become the president
to do things
for you to bring solutions, you will never find solutions.
Yeah.